Hey there, it's Amelia, and in today's video I'm going to show you how I laid out one of my coloring and activity books using primarily Microsoft Word and Microsoft PowerPoint. Let's get started. So right now I'm in Microsoft Word, and you could see the first 3 pages of my coloring and activity book called Counting in Math with Pasta and Meatballs. So I started out with my children's rhyming picture books, and then I thought it might be fun to create companion coloring books, and I decided to add a lot of educational activity sheets inside the coloring book. So I want to first mention to you that if you're creating this kind of coloring and activity book or any book, it's important, if you're using Microsoft Word, to calculate and make sure that you set up the proper page size in Microsoft Word. Now, there's different websites that you could use, that either a cover calculator or an interior paperback manuscript calculator. But if you're using KDP like I do, then on the KDP Help Center, you could find an enormous amount of information here, and you could either search in this search bar, or I'll tell you that if you click on the help topics on tools and resources, you could find the calculator by clicking Paperback File Setup Calculator. And when you do so, it will jump down to the Paperback File Setup Calculator. Then you want to click Download Calculator, and it will download an Excel file for you, which I've already downloaded. Then you want to open up the file in Microsoft Excel, and here it is here, and it's pretty simple to use. All you have to do is accept or change the ink and paper choice. I'm going to just click drop down and select black ink and white paper. The trim size for me, for my coloring activity book, I use 8.5 by 11. And if you have images that are going to encompass the entire page, you want to allow for the bleed area. So the page size in Word is not going to be 8.5 by 11, because you have to add additional space for the bleed area, which it will calculate in a moment. This particular coloring and activity book is 61 pages, so I entered the number of pages, and then I want to select Manuscript with Bleed. Next, it instantly calculates the size, and let me just zoom in a bit so you could see that the height is going to be 11.25, and the width is going to be 8.625 or 8.63. So I'll flip back over to Word and show you that in the Layout tab, I'll click Size, More Paper Sizes, and then here for custom size, I have it set up for the width of 8.63 and height 11.25. So you can do that with any book, and once you have your page size set up, then you want to set up your pages. So when they first open the coloring book or any book, typically you would have the title, subtitle, and author name, or you can have an image or partial image similar to the front cover. This is my front cover, which was created by my illustrator, but because my coloring book is black and white, I want to double click on the image, go to color, and then change the saturation to 0, and it changes it to black and white. Now, if I didn't change it to black and white, I had asked KDP before if I included color images. They said they would automatically change it to black and white, but I like to change it to black and white anyway. Okay, so, and then the second page is my copyright page. The next page, I just have text here to introduce the coloring and activity book, and it's just text that I typed in Microsoft Word. In the footer area, I chose to insert the page number, which you can easily do by clicking Insert Page Number, and then select the position, and I selected Current Position. So what I did here is I inserted the page number, and then I added a cloud shape around it. So if I double click here and it goes into the footer. After I inserted the page number, then I clicked Insert Shapes, and then I clicked on this little cloud symbol here, and then I resized it. And all you have to do is just press and drag, and then in this case I just clicked no fill to make sure that there was no fill, and then I just placed it over top of the page number. And to make sure you can press and drag your images, there's this little icon here with layout options, and if you select square, then it will allow you to press and drag so that you can overlay or reposition the image. So I'll just delete that here. Okay, and I'll double click to return back to my pages. And right now I just have the zoom set up so that you can see 3 pages at once. And I'll move down and you can see I have a this belongs to, and that's just text and a line in Microsoft Word. And this page here is table of contents, and I usually don't put the word page here like this, but because it's for children, I made it a little bit more friendly to do this. Go here and enter in the text and the page numbers. So for the next page, I just have text here, and then these circular images are cropped images of the characters taken from other pages with the illustrations of the different boys and girls. And I did a circular crop, which you can do in an image editor. I like to use TechSmith Snagit. And then once I had all my different characters with the circular crop, I added a border and I added their name here. And this is also an image where I added all the different characters, but I have a little seek and find, where is Bella, and they would circle all the pictures of Bella. Now these pages here where I have this text box, I'm going to flip over to Microsoft PowerPoint. Okay, so in Microsoft PowerPoint you could experiment with a variety of fonts and different text styles. I created some placeholder text which is a little thicker with just a white fill. This way the children can color inside of it. And then once I had the text in a text box, then I just copied the slide, which you could easily do. Just right click and duplicate slide, and then change the text. And then once you have the text set up, just select the text box, right click, select save as picture, and then save it as a ping image. Down in here, you just want to make sure it's set up for ping, and it will save it with a transparent background. And then when you're in Microsoft Word, you want to click Insert Pictures from this device and select the ping image that you saved from PowerPoint, and then insert it into Microsoft Word. And then once it's inserted, if you need to, you could resize it, etc. The next page is again the same kind of text box with the same type of lettering, and then this image I created in Microsoft PowerPoint. So I just flipped over to PowerPoint, and you could see that I have the different types of pasta. And what I did was I first searched in free sites like Pixabay, and I didn't find too many black and white pasta illustrations. So I decided to invest in a membership with stock.adobe.com just for a month or two, and then I canceled my membership just because I needed some really nice, attractive images of pasta, black and white, as well as color images, which I needed for my back cover. So as you can see on this page, I leveraged some of the pieces of pasta and cropped them here. And then for the image here, I used, well, primarily black and white, but I was experimenting on this page. And then I just typed in the different names for the pasta. And then when I was all finished, I clicked Control A to select all. Again, right click on the edge of one of the handles here and click Save as Picture, Save as a Ping Image. and then click Insert Pictures. From this device, select your ping image, insert it in Word, and resize as necessary. Now, just keep your margins in mind. I primarily left the margin of 1 inch, but sometimes I went a little closer to the edge with the left indent. On the next page, I have text, and then this particular image, which I found on one of the image websites. Then you're going to start seeing a pattern because I used the numbers 1 to 10 throughout, and I used different pieces of pasta and created these lines for tracing. So here you have the same type of text box, and then for this number, I'm going to flip over to Pixabay for a second. Like I said, I didn't find too many black and white images of pasta, but for numbers you could look on sites like Pixabay. You can also look in Canva, and then if you can't find anything for free, then you may have to look on some other image websites, maybe make an investment for a 1 or 2 month membership just to get all the images you need for your book. So on Pixabay I searched for numbers, and then I added some filters including illustrations, and then you can choose if you want a transparent background and black and white. Now, as you can see, there are quite a few numbers here, and in some cases you can find the same type of numbers from 1 to 10. Like in this case, here's some numbers you could use, and you'd have to just crop them and separate them out for tracing. Here's another group of numbers. Now in this case it only has 1 to 7, so sometimes it's a little tricky finding all the numbers you need, but this would be good for like a scissors cutting activity exercise. So I did find the numbers, I think either in Pixabay or one of the other image websites. So once I found all my numbers, and this one had little dots for drawing the numbers, so it was perfect, I separated the numbers out and then inserted them in Microsoft Word and have the same instruction for each number. So I have this instruction here, start at the dot, then follow the arrow to draw, and I have the same instruction for each number. So you can see here the number 2 and the number 3, etc. For the matching page for the number 1, I had a different type of pasta, and then I say 1 pen pasta, 2 lasagna, for instance. But let me show you how I laid that out in Microsoft PowerPoint. So here we are in PowerPoint, and you can see I have the numbers here as separate images. And then for the tracing pages, I have the separate image of the pasta, just a text box here. And then for the lines for tracing, what I did was I created a page down here that I leveraged for the other pages. And this is just a series of underline characters to make the solid line, and then underline with a space to make the dotted line. And once I created this, if I wanted to copy the whole page, I can duplicate the whole slide. But if I only wanted, say, like 2 out of the 4 sets of lines here, I can just select the portion I need, click copy, and then I pasted it onto a page like this where I only needed the 2 lines. Now for the number 2, as you can see, this is just a text box here, just with the number 2, and you want to experiment with the different fonts to make sure that it's like a appropriate plain font for a child for coloring or tracing. And then for the lighter number 2, what I did was I selected the number 2, and then I selected Format Shape, Text Options, and in Text Fill, I selected a Pattern Fill to make the number lighter. And then for this number, there's a different pattern, so it's just even a little bit lighter. This is just another text box here, and same here where I used the Pattern Fill. And then once I laid out each page, with one item selected, I clicked Control A for Select All, and notice that I also have a transparent shape around the whole edge of the page, and I did that on purpose so that when I save it as an image, it would be sized up properly when I inserted it in Microsoft Word to encompass the whole page. I right-clicked, clicked Save as Picture, saved it as a ping image. Then back in Word, I'll just select this and delete it for a moment. I clicked Insert Pictures from this device, selected the ping image, and just again remember ping because it has a transparent background. Then I pressed and drag, and you want to outstretch it to the edge of the page to encompass the whole page, and because it's transparent, you could see the page number in the footer as well. I did the numbers 3 through 10 the same way, and for the pieces of pasta where there were quite a few, for instance, let me show you the number 10. I have different pieces of pasta, and then you can use the rotation feature here in PowerPoint to rotate your images. And again, I just have the text boxes, the number 10, etc. I selected all, saved it as an image, and inserted it in Microsoft Word. Now, some of my pages are full-size coloring pages. This was created by my illustrator, this as well, and some of these other pages were also coloring pages created by my illustrator. So then when you get into these activity pages here, I also created this in Microsoft PowerPoint. So let me flip over and show you how I created that page. So this one here is just a series of text boxes with the number and a dotted line, which you can angle very easily. And then these are just the different individual pictures of pasta, and you can add as needed to make up the matching number. And again, like select it all, right click, save it as a ping file. And in this case, I have the cropped picture of the little girl, a text box. Actually, this is not a text box, it's just typed in Microsoft Word. Let me just click Show Hide for a moment, and you could see that I have 4 returns. I inserted the picture of the little girl, and then here I just typed the text to the right, and then this is the image that I created in Microsoft PowerPoint, which I inserted in Word. Now for the next type of activity sheet here, I use square shapes in Microsoft PowerPoint. So I more or less created a template which I copied to the different slides, and I changed the type of pasta, and it's easy to just create a square. Just click Insert Shapes, and when you point to the square image, press the Shift key down while you're pressing and dragging to make sure that it is symmetrical. And then you want to click Shape Fill, No Fill, to make sure it's a transparent image. And then these are just text boxes that I positioned in between, and the equal sign as well. I also did one with a minus sign as well, and inside again just inserted the different pieces of pasta to match the numbers. Inserted the ping images in Microsoft Word, and did the rest the same. And these are images created by my illustrator, which I inserted. This is an image that I found, and I edited it to make it a little different, to find the differences. Now for mazes, I looked all over online, and it's not easy to find maze images. A lot of them are about the same as this, and I was able to leverage 1 or 2 free images that I found, but like I said, it's not easy to find mazes. Now I did find maze software out there, but I found that it was kind of expensive, so It is available, if you want to create like a whole book of mazes. So for this, I just added the little girl, the arrow, and the picture of the pasta and meatballs inside using Microsoft PowerPoint, and saved it again as a PNG file and inserted it in Microsoft Word. And that brings me to the end of my coloring and activity book. At the end of your book, no matter what kind of book you have, it's always good to add a thank you page and ask for a review, including the reasons why a review is helpful. And you can also leave links to your social media pages. And it's always a good idea to also include names of other books, including thumbnails. In this case, I have an ABC letter tracing coloring activity book, and I have a holiday themed coloring activity book, as well as my rhyming stories. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, I appreciate a thumbs up. Don't forget to click the red subscribe button and click the bell icon so that you don't miss any new videos. I'll see you in the next video.